Yo, what's good, guys? It's your boy Noah the Beast back here again on YouTube, and today, guys, is going to be my first NFL prediction video here on YouTube. And so, as you guys know, the 2025 NFL season is about to kick off in a couple of days, guys. And basically, what I'm going to be doing from today all the way up to the Super Bowl is give you guys my NFL its predictions for every single week. I am going to be predicting every single game, giving you guys my thoughts and opinions, and also giving you guys score predictions as well. All right, if you guys have not already, make sure that you guys smash that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, like this video, and share this with somebody you know. All right, but anyways, guys, let's get straight into this video. All right, the first game that we have to go and kick off the 2025 NFL season, we have my Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, at home versus the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, my Birds, they're obviously still the best team in the NFL. They just won the Super Bowl. I think they should be able to destroy this Dallas Cowboys team. And, you know, the thing about the Cowboys is that they are falling apart, guys. They are falling apart. Jerry Jones is the worst owner in sports history. Obviously, going and getting rid of Micah Parsons is going to leave a huge hole for them. Obviously, they have Dak Prescott coming back after a really bad injury he had last season. So I'm not a big believer in the Cowboys this year at all. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. But I think my Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, dog walk the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Eagles win 35-10. I think this is going to be an absolute blowout. I think that the Eagles are going to annihilate them. All right, so that is my prediction for the kickoff game. All right, the next game we got here is we have a Friday night showdown in Brazil between the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs are the team that we destroyed in the Super Bowl last season, which I'm very happy about that. That was, if not the best football game I have ever watched. And also, guys, we also have the Chargers right here. I think the Chargers are a young and very are a very young and up and coming team. They do have some solid talent. I still think that Justin Herbert is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. They have really solid young weapons and guys like, you know, obviously in Amarion Hampton and Lat McConkey especially. They still have solid veterans. You know, they obviously have, you know, like obviously Quentin Johnston heading into year 3. They also have Keenan Allen as well, who they just brought back. So, I mean, that should help their offense a lot. And also, I think LA has a very good defense as well. As for Kansas City, I still think the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Obviously, I think as long as they still have Patrick Mahomes, I think they're always going to be a good team. But the thing is, the Chiefs are getting a bit older. And plus, they did get destroyed in the Super Bowl last year. And my Philadelphia Eagles absolutely exposed their ass. I mean, dude, I just don't think the Chiefs are going to be as good as they were in years past. It's just because they didn't really do much of anything this offseason to really improve their team. They just rely on Patrick Mahomes so much to just do everything for them. And also, plus, the thing about the Chiefs, though, last year, they didn't really look good. You know, we exposed them. Like, they were barely getting by. They were barely squeezing by with those wins. It's just because of the refs and all the Taylor Swift stuff and everything. So that's the only reason why that the Chiefs, you know, won 15 games last year and made it to a 3rd straight Super Bowl and almost three-peated. But I'm going to pick, this is one of my upsets for this week. I am going to pick the LA Chargers to win this football game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a very, very good game. I think it's going to be one of the best games of the entire weekend. But I'm going to pick the LA Chargers to win this football game in a upset. 30-21. That's what I think. I think LA pulls off this upset and beats the Kansas City Chiefs 30-21. Just because I think the Chargers have a little bit more youth. I think they're going to be the hungrier team. I know the Chiefs are going to be out for, gets revenge after that tough Super Bowl loss. But I think that the Chargers are the younger team. I think they're hungrier, and I think they will be looking to upset the Kansas City Chiefs on Friday night. All right. Up next, guys, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers going into New York to play the Jets. I think that this game is going to be one of the worst games of the entire weekend. I mean, if you look at both of these teams, if you look at Pittsburgh, I mean, their entire roster is literally their retirement home. Like, their entire roster is literally their retirement home. I mean, like, they have Aaron Rodgers, who's 50,000 years old. They still have a good defense, though. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they have Jalen Ramsey. They obviously have Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt. I mean, those guys can still play at a pretty high clip. But if you look at their offense, I mean, their only notable player on offense is obviously DK Metcalf, who they just picked up in the offseason from the Seahawks. But I mean, I'm not a big believer in the Steelers, and I'm not a big believer in the Jets as well. I mean, if you look at the Jets roster, I mean, their defense is horrible. Their only notable players to me are Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. That's it. But I think since Pittsburgh has the better defense, I think they're the more experienced team. And plus, Pittsburgh usually does win in week 1. I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game in a snooze fest. I'm going to take Pittsburgh to beat the Jets 17-13. I'm not a big believer in Justin Fields, guys. Like, I just don't believe Justin Fields is that good of a quarterback. I mean, last year when he did play for the Steelers, he was okay. He didn't play terrible. But I just don't think Fields is really a franchise quarterback, if you know what I mean. But I have Pittsburgh winning this game. All right, up next, guys. The next game that I will be going and predicting is the Dolphins heading into Indianapolis to play the Colts. Listen, I think both of these teams suck. I think it's gonna be another one of those snooze fests. I mean, I think the Dolphins are the more talented team. I mean, if you look at their offense, they're loaded. I mean, they have Tua. They obviously have one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and Tyreek Hill. They have guys like Waddle and Devon Achane. I mean, their offense is loaded, but I'm not really a big believer in their defense either. I don't know very much people on their defense. And then if you look at the Colts, who is their starter? Daniel freaking Jones. Like, do you really think that Daniel Jones is going to lead you to victory? Heck no. I mean, the Colts are going to have to force feed the ball. It's to Jonathan Taylor. Like, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be their entire offense. And plus, I have Jonathan Taylor on my fantasy team. And so obviously I hope he goes off in this game. But I think that the Dolphins should be able to win this football game. I think the Colts may keep it close, but I think the Dolphins will find a way to win this football game. So for that reason, I'm going to have the Dolphins winning 20-17. I just think, I mean, both of these teams suck, but I just think the Colts suck even more. So that's why I have the Dolphins winning. All right. Up next, guys, we have the Cincinnati Bengals heading into Cleveland to play the Browns. We have a classic AFC North showdown and also the Battle of Ohio. I think that this game is going to be another one of those snooze fests. I think it's going to be low scoring, but obviously, if you look at the Bengals, I mean, they always start off the season relatively slow. I mean, obviously they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. The only reason why the Bengals are literally it's relevant is just because of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's it. They have nobody else. But I don't think the Bengals, their defense is horrible. I obviously think they have one of the best and most electric offenses in the league, but I don't know, man. Like, this game's kind of a coin flip because the thing about the Bengals is that they always start off the season really slow, and then obviously the Browns are the Browns. But you know what? This I have being another upset, just because Cincinnati doesn't usually play that well in Cleveland, and plus they don't play well to start off the season. So for that reason, I'm gonna pick Cleveland. I want the Bengals to win just because I have Joe Burrow on my fantasy team, but I just think Cleveland might actually win this game because I still think Cleveland has a really good defense, but it all depends on how their offense goes. It all depends on how their on how their quarterback plays, like, because they're going to be rolling into the season starting who, like Joe Flacco or something. But obviously, I think Cleveland is going to pull off this upset. Give me the Cleveland Browns to win this football game 20-16 in one of the biggest upsets of the weekend, because the Bengals always play trash in week 1. All right, guys. Up next, guys, we have the Las Vegas Raiders and the Patriots. I think that this game's going to be pretty even. I think both of these teams are young and intriguing. I think the Patriots had a great offseason. Drake May, in my opinion, I think he's going to prove this year that he is a franchise quarterback, because obviously last year he showed a lot of flashes. Like, I mean, Drake May looked really good last year. So I think that Drake May will be able to take that next step and become the Patriots' new franchise quarterback. And I think that this game right here is going to prove it. I think that the Vegas Raiders will keep it close because the Raiders do have some solid pieces. They got guys, obviously. They just drafted Genty in the first round of the draft, and they also have Brock Bowers, who's one of the best tight ends in football. So I do think this game's going to be close, but I have the Patriots winning here. I like them at home. I think they're the younger team. I think they're the hungrier team, and they will be able to win this football game. So for that reason, I'm going to pick the New England Patriots to win. I think the Patriots will win this football game 23-20. I think it's going to be one of the more underrated games of the weekend. I think it's going to be close, but I do think that the Patriots should pull off this dub. All right, up next, guys, we have the Tennessee Titans going into Denver to play the Broncos. I mean, Tennessee, obviously, they drafted Cam Ward in the first round of the draft. I don't know how he's going to do. I mean, I just don't think Tennessee has enough talent to go and support Cam Ward at the moment. And this is nothing against Cam Ward. I still think Cam Ward could be a solid quarterback. But I just think Tennessee's just so depleted of talent. I mean, they do have solid guys. I mean, they have Calvin Ridley, they have Tyler Lockett, they have Tony Pollard. But all of those guys are way past their prime. Like, I mean, like, all of those guys are actually pretty old. So, and then if you look at Denver's side, you know, they have one of the best QBs in the league. You could argue maybe a top 15 QB in the league in Bo Nix, who had a phenomenal first season in the NFL last year. He was phenomenal as a rookie last season, Bo Nix. But I think they have, you know, I think the Broncos have a top 3 defense. I think that their offense got a lot better. I think Bo Nix is going to do even better than he did in his rookie season last year. So I'm going to pick Denver to win in a blowout. I think they should destroy Tennessee. I think it's going to be 31-7. 31-7 Denver. Gosh, guys, I can't talk today, guys. 31-7 Denver. All right. Now, next game. We have the Carolina Panthers going into Jacksonville to play the Jags. This game's a coin flip because both of these teams are very young. They're on the come up. I think that this game is going to be very close. It obviously is the Cat Bowl. But, you know, I like what the Jags have done this offseason. I mean, obviously, they do have Brian Thomas Jr., who's a very, very good young wide receiver. They just drafted Travis Hunter, too, who I think is going to be an absolute baller. I mean, obviously, Travis Hunter is going to play both offense and defense the same way he did in college. But the thing about the Jags, it all depends on how Trevor Lawrence plays. If Trevor Lawrence can play good, then obviously I think the Jags are going to be a playoff team this year. But if Trevor Lawrence does not play well, then obviously the Jags are going to be the dumpster fire of the league. So it all depends on how Trevor plays. And then if you go to the Panthers side, they had a strong finish to their season last year. I think Bryce Young, to go and end last year, he absolutely balled out. I love Bryce Young. He's one of my favorite players in the league. He obviously had a strong end to his season last year. Like, I know he started off his career very rough. I mean, he had a rough rookie season in 2023, and then he had a rough first half of last year. But then after he got benched, he started balling out. But I think this game is going to be very close. Both of these teams are very similar. I am going to pick the Jags. I like them at home in this instance. Oops, why did I click the Rams? I'm going to pick the Jags in this game. I think it's going to be close. I think both of these teams are relatively equal. I'm going to pick Jacksonville to defeat the Carolina Panthers 24-21. I think this is going to be probably one of the more underrated games of this weekend. All right. The next game we have here is we have the Houston Texans going to Los Angeles to play the Rams. I think that this game is going to be one of the best games of the entire weekend. I think both of these teams are very, 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 very equal. They're both very young. They have a lot of talent, but I do like the Rams at home here. I think they have a very good defense. Their offense is loaded with weapons. They obviously still have Matthew Stafford, who can still play at a relatively high level. I know he is starting to get up there in age, but I mean, Matthew Stafford, that guy can still ball. He can still sling that football. And then they also have Puka Nacua, who's one of the best young wide receivers in the NFL. They have a solid number 2 wide receiver in Devontae Adams, who can still play at a very high level, who's arguably still a top 10 wide receiver in the entire league. So the Rams have 2 top 10 wide receivers on their offense. And they also have Kyren Williams, who's a pretty good running back as well. And then if you look at Houston's side, they obviously have CJ Stroud. He's heading into year 3. I think he should play better than how he did last year because last year he had a little bit of that sophomore slump. But I think this year, Stroud should be able to play better than he did last year. They obviously have Nico Collins, who I have on my fantasy team. I hope he goes off in this game. But I think both of these teams are very rock solid. These 2 teams are both playoff teams. I think that the Rams will win this football game. I think they will win. I think the LA Rams will win this football game 28-24. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be one of the best games of the weekend, and I think the Rams should be able to win this in a shootout. All right, up to the next game. This is probably going to be one of the worst games of the entire weekend. We have the Arizona Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints. Honestly, who's going to watch this game? I would much rather watch golf than watch this. Like, this game is probably going to be one of the worst games of the entire weekend, if not the worst game of the entire weekend. Like, who the heck is going to watch this? But I think the Cardinals should win here. I mean, obviously the Saints are, if not the worst team in the entire league this year. I mean, who's their quarterback? Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shue? I don't know. And then they have 2 injury-prone guys in freaking Chris Olave and also in Kamara. So it's like, so it's like, you know, the Saints are going to be one of the worst teams. But I think Arizona should be able to win this game. I don't think the Cardinals are any better than the Saints, but I think Arizona should be able to win this game with relative ease. I think the Cardinals will win this game 24-10. 24-10. That is my prediction for that game. All right, on to the next game. We have a NFC South showdown between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. I think this game is going to be one of the best games of the weekend, honestly. I mean, I think this is going to be a shootout. You're going to see a lot of fireworks in this football game. You know, if you look at both of these teams, if you look at the Falcons, I mean, they have Michael Penix Jr. in his first full year starting. I think Penix is going to ball out because last year he showed a lot of flashes, and I think Michael Penix will go and continue where he left off from last season. They obviously have Bijan Robinson, who's one of my favorite players in the NFL. I love Bijan. That guy's an absolute baller. They got guys obviously like Kyle Pitts and Drake London, who are solid weapons as well. I have Drake London on my fantasy team. He better go off in this game, which I think he will because this game's going to be a shootout in my opinion. But I think the Falcons are a very young and intriguing team, and they could possibly win. their division and go on a playoff run. And then if you look at Tampa Bay, you know, they've been one of the most consistent teams in the league for the past 5 or 6 years. Obviously, they have Baker Mayfield, who has went and revived his career ever since coming into Tampa. They got guys. They still have Mike Evans, who's an absolute baller, who averages 1,000 yards a season. Like, he's an absolute baller. I know Mike Evans is starting to get up there in age, but he can still ball. Mike Evans is still one of the best wide receivers in the league. I don't care about what anybody says. They also have Chris Godwin. I know he's not going to play because he's still going and recovering from his injury he sustained last year. They also drafted Pitameka Mbuka. They also have Bucky Irving, who's one of the most underrated running backs. But I think this game's going to be great. I honestly think that this is going to be one of the best games of the entire weekend. And I am going to pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go into Atlanta and beat the Falcons. I think Tampa Bay wins this football game 31-28. Shootout. I think this game might go into overtime, and I think Baker Mayfield will take his team down the field and score a game-winning field goal to go and solidify this W for the Tampa Bay Bucks. All right. Next game, we have the New York Giants versus the Washington Redskins, or as they're formerly known now as the Washington Commanders. I think that this game is going to be pretty close. I know a lot of people may have it's the Washington Commanders going and blowing out the Giants, but I think that this game's going to be close. Number one, it is a divisional game, and number two, usually the New York Giants usually play this team really, really well. Like, every time I watch a Giants and Washington game, it's usually pretty close. But I have Washington winning this football game, obviously. I think Jaden Daniels is going to ball out like he usually does. I mean, last year, Jaden Daniels had a phenomenal first season in the NFL. He played phenomenal last year. But I think Jaden Daniels can go and continue where he left off, and I think the Commanders will win this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think it's going to be pretty close. I'm going to have the Washington Commanders winning this football game 27-21. That is what I think. I think that the Giants will be able to put up a good fight, but I think that Washington pulls it out in the end. All right? Up next, guys, we have the San Francisco 49ers heading into Seattle to play the Seahawks. I think both of these teams are relatively equal. Obviously, if you look at Seattle, they just signed, Sam Darnold this offseason. They signed also Cooper Kupp as well. They still have Jackson Smith-Njigba and Kenneth Walker as well. So I think Seattle has a solid offense, but I'm concerned about their defense. But if you look at San Francisco, I mean, they still have a super loaded offense. But I think losing Debo is definitely going to hurt. And then also they lost, 7 or 8 players on defense. But I still think San Francisco should be able to beat the Seattle Seahawks. I think San Fran should have no problems in this game. And I think they should win. So for that reason, I'm going to pick the San Francisco 49ers to beat the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to say 27 to, I'm going to say 28-20. That is my prediction. 28-20 San Francisco win. All right, up next, guys, I am so excited about this game. I think it's going to be one of the best games of the entire weekend, if not the best game of the entire weekend. I think we have the Detroit Lions going into Green Bay to play the Packers. I think this game is going to be great. It's going to be full of fireworks. I know the Packers just signed Parsons from the Cowboys, but this game is going to be a shootout, bro. These are two of the most electric offenses in the entire league. I think we should expect to see a lot of fireworks, but I like the Lions in this matchup. I know the Lions lost both of their coordinators, but they should be able to win this football game. I'm going to have the Detroit Lions winning this game 40-37 in the game of the week. This will be the best game of the week. Mark my word. 40-37 Detroit Lions. All right. Up next, guys, we have the Sunday night football game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. This is a rematch from last year's playoffs. Both the Ravens and the Bills played each other last year in the playoffs, and it was a really, really good game. And the Ravens almost won. Like, obviously, if Mark Andrews didn't drop those two passes, the Ravens would have easily beat the Bills. But I think this game is going to be a shootout, kind of like the last one, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as high scoring. I can see this game going either way. I think both of these teams are relatively equal. I think the Ravens have the more talented team, but you don't want to count out Josh Allen, bro. Josh Allen is an amazing quarterback. I still think he's like a top 3 quarterback in the league right now. Obviously, he won the MVP last year, but I am going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to win this game. I think they're going to want their revenge from last season, and so for that reason, I am going to pick the Baltimore Ravens. I think they will beat the Buffalo Bills 34-31 in a classic shootout. All right, guys. Now, to close out week 1 of the 2025 season, we have Monday Night Football. It's between the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. I think this game is going to be pretty interesting. I mean, obviously, if you look at the Vikings, they have they have J.J. McCarthy playing in his first game in the NFL, which I think J.J. McCarthy is going to have a great first year starting. I mean, obviously, he didn't play last year because he was hurt, but I do think that he's going to be a pretty good quarterback in this league. And then if you look at the Bears, I really like their new coaching hire, and Ben Johnson from the Lions. I think that's going to help take their offense to the next level and help Caleb have a better season than he did last year. It's just because Caleb did not really have a good rookie season. He struggled quite a bit. But I think bringing in Ben Johnson can help Caleb develop into the player that he was supposed to be in the NFL. But I think this game's going to be relatively close. I think both of these teams are relatively equal, but I'm going to pick the Bears at home. I think that J.J. McCarthy, since this is going to be his first game in the NFL and he has to go on the road week 1 into Soldier Field, he's going to be a little bit overwhelmed. But I like the Bears at home here. I mean, obviously, Soldier Field is a really tough place to play, so that's why I don't see if the Vikings winning, considering they have a rookie quarterback playing. But I am going to pick the Bears to win this football game. I think it's going to be a defensive battle, but I think in the end, I think the Bears pull it out. So I'm going to say 22-19, Bears win. All right, so these were my predictions for week 1 of the 2025 NFL season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure that you guys smash that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and share this video with somebody you know. And also comment down below, what are your picks for this weekend, and who do you think and what do you think is going to be the best game for week 1? All right, guys, so these are all of my picks predictions. You guys can take a look at them for a few seconds. But anyways, guys, it's your boy Noahthebeast. I'm out. You guys have a great day and happy football season, baby. And go Birds. Let's go, baby.